Something happened this week that has Deion Sanders upset, and we're going to talk about it right after the bumper. What's good people? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, the top 25 poll in the FCS came out this week, and Jackson State was nowhere to be found. Coach Prime and the Jackson State Tigers were not ranked in the top 25. I'm going to share my screen and show you said top 25. Let's go. Let's look at it and see who tops the list. Now, if we look at the top of the list, Sam Houston, James Madison, and South Dakota State all make up the top three of the top 25. And then you continue down, you get North Dakota State that's produced guys like Carson Wentz and Trey Lance, Delaware, which is where Joe Flacco came from, Weber State, which is the school that Damian Lillard played basketball for, Southern Illinois, North Dakota, Montana, and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State make up the top 10. If you keep scrolling, though, let's see if we keep on scrolling down. You get North Carolina A&T, the former MAC champions. Not Mac, MEAC champions come in and they look like one of the lone HBCUs on there. If you look at the others receiving votes, now this is critical right here. Others receiving votes, schools listed on 2 or more ballots. You had Murray State, Richmond, ETSU, which were all good, but we finally see Alabama A&M, which is the first SWAC school that is mentioned. Now, obviously, we have other HBCUs that are mentioned before them, but Alabama A&M is the first SWAC school. Then you get Alcorn. Alcorn is down here as well, right here, and they receive votes, but they also did not make the top 25. North Carolina A&T, which is now in the Big South, are one of the only HBCUs on this list. Now, if we look at this list and you were like, bro, Jacksonville State, I mean, not Jacksonville State, that's those guys. Jackson State had the top recruiting class in all of FCS. How do they not make the top 25? They have the top recruiting class. They brought in over 20 transfers. They replenished 85% of the roster from their spring. They've done this. They've done that. They've got Coach Prime. They got Deion Sanders, Shador Sanders. They got all these guys from USC and Georgia and Florida and all of these different places, Florida State. Well, here's why. Because the teams at the top of this list have beaten each other. The teams at the top of this list are proven. Although Jackson State's roster is 85% new, we haven't seen them play. Most of them we haven't seen play, and they haven't proven that they can go out there and beat the best of the SWAC teams. As you see, the rest of the SWAC teams aren't even – there's no other SWAC team on there. Alabama A&M, who just won the spring championship for the SWAC, went 5-0. They weren't ranked. They received some votes, but they weren't ranked. Alcorn, who's been the cream of the crop of the SWAC for a few years outside of the spring season that they didn't play, they weren't ranked. And then when we look at Jackson State's schedule, it's not one that's going to get them ranked. Now, let me once again, I ended that screen and I'm going to show you something else. And we're going to take a look at their schedule. Now, if we look at Jackson State's schedule, it's got some really good fun, HBCU games on here. I mean, starting opening night, you got Florida A&M. That's going to be a tough one. Orange Blossom Classic on ESPN2 down in Miami, Florida. That's going to be lit. Southern Heritage Classic the very next week down in Memphis, Tennessee on ESPN3. It's going to be lit against Eddie George and the Tennessee State, but they haven't been very good. Florida A&M wasn't ranked, and none of these other teams, Alabama A&M, is going to be another great game down in Huntsville, Alabama on the ESPN networks. And they received some votes, but they weren't ranked. You know what I mean? Bethune-Cookman wasn't ranked. Mississippi Valley wasn't ranked. Texas Southern. And once again, Alcorn, which is a team that received some votes, but they weren't ranked either. So this is how the teams that were ranked on the FCS top 25, they weren't ranked just because they had one of the best recruiting classes. They were ranked because they play the best teams. They weren't ranked because they have the best recruiting classes. They were ranked because they play the best teams. Now, don't get me wrong. This Jackson State schedule is going to be fun to watch as far as seeing Coach Prime with a full year under his belt, seeing Coach Prime, Deion Sanders with a true freshman starting quarterback, seeing Coach Prime, Deion Sanders going against the best of the best the SWAC has to offer with no COVID, minimal COVID restrictions, a packed house down there in Mississippi, and everything in between, especially some of these big time games like the first two of the season, Florida A&M in Miami, Orange Blossom Classic, Southern Heritage Classic down in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's going to be fun to see him and his team in those environments. But to be ranked is going to take more than just recruiting. It's going to take success on the field against the schedule that you have currently and also scheduling better teams. That is how you're going to get more respect. You're going to have to win some SWAC titles. You're going to have to beat the SWAC teams and the HBCU teams that you play on the field. So you got to prove it on the field, not just on paper. I know Coach Prime was not happy. He was not happy at all to see that his team, his son has come out and said, man, we're not a regular HBCU, dog. Like, we're different than everybody else. You can't compare us to the other SWAC schools. Why? Because we chose to come to Jackson State. Your school chose for you to come there. You didn't have any other options. He didn't use these exact words, I'm paraphrasing. He's basically saying, man, the guys at the Alabama A&Ms, at the Alcorns, at the, Alabama States, at all of these different places, Tennessee States, FAMUs, all of that, they couldn't go to USC and Alabama and Florida and Georgia and LSU. They had to go to their schools. See, we had offers, and some of us even played at some of those schools, South Carolina, Missouri, USC. But we chose Louisville, but we chose to be here. So it's going to be interesting to see Coach Prime, Shador, and the rest of the Jackson State Tigers to back up all of that talk, to back up all the cool jerseys that they got, to back up all the new facilities that they have. The playing field is being leveled. Hell, the playing field is lopsided for Jackson State compared to some of the other schools in the SWAC. As of right now, as far as facilities, as far as pub, as far as marketing, as far as everything else, publicity. So you got to prove it on the field. And more than just on paper in a recruiting class, with actual play on the field. And I can't wait to see it. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. And for those of you on Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook at Jeff Lightsy Sports. I post all this content on there and more. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.